So pleased to introduce G.W. Chu now. I heard he's from Maryland originally, but is now working in Vallejo, and he has a farm in Alabama. How cool is that? So we are going to welcome G.W. Chu. He's the founder and CEO of Something Better Foods, Inc., and has been a vegan food inventor, restaurateur for over 15 years. Chef Chu started experimenting with creating vegan food products in 2004, 20 years ago, when he first painstakingly invented the Better Chu proteins in his mom's kitchen. Welcome for Chef Chu. Thank you.
Cool. Hello. How you guys doing? You guys don't look too excited. Come on now, I need some energy here. Yes, come on. Well, anyway, some of y'all might know who I am, some of y'all might not, but I do have the best last name as a chef, right? My last name is actually C-H-E-W, which spells Chu. I like to say my name is Chef Chu, and as I always say, gonna give you something to chew on. So anyway, I'm here today to tell a little bit about my story. I actually went vegan in 2001. We got anybody been vegan longer than 2001? Anybody? I'm at that? Okay, I got a few. Come on now. What year did you go vegan, sir? He can't even remember. You can't remember. Hey, I love it, man. That's what you call the OGs, man. But when I went vegan, I actually grew up, kind of my story here, I grew up in Southern Maryland, and my family were heavy meat eaters. And so my daddy literally was a sharecropper. Anybody know what sharecropping is? In the South, they pretty much raise crops like tobacco or cotton and so forth. So my dad was born in 1952. He was, again, a sharecropper. Many of them ate off the land. So my dad, sadly, he was the type of guy that, again, lived off the land. So they shot animals, squirrels, you name it, deer, they ate off the land, and, Thanksgivings and Christmas and all that type of stuff, very heavy meat eating. So when I came on the scene in 1982, my life was pretty much centered around a lot of meat. Fried chicken, ribs, pork chops, ham, bacon, squirrel. I missed possum by 10 years, and I thank God for that. Amen. So again, very heavy meat eating lifestyle. And what I realized very quickly as I got older, in my teens and to my, pretty much going to my late teens, many of my family members began to have lifestyle diseases. So obviously, heart disease, diabetes, cancer, just the normal lifestyle diseases that we see in this country. What happened with my family, though, it became lethal. So it wasn't just that they had diabetes or heart disease. Many of these individuals in my family began to die. So when you have a family member that you grew up with, and they're in their 40s, my age, I'm 42 years old right now, and they're in their 40s, and they come down with heart disease or diabetes, and now it becomes lethal, and now they're 47, 48, and they die by the age of 50. This is devastating. And so this is what I begin to see, and many of my uncles and my aunts, many of them begin to have lifestyle diseases that, again, I had about 11 aunts and uncles, and I would say almost 70, 80% of them died before the age of 60, 62. And, that takes away a generation of people that you love. And I mean, many of us, again, my mom, she happened to make it a set. My mom was afraid because she thought that she wasn't going to make it past 65. And so again, for me, I actually made a crazy, radical decision. Again, when I was literally started at 12 years old, I stopped eating pork and other things like that. When I became 18 years old in 2001, I went 100%, not vegetarian, but 100% vegan. Now, does anybody know what vegan food tasted like in 2001? I mean, vegetarian food was pretty good. They had a lot of good vegetarian food. Like Morningstar was like the beyond and impossible of that day, right? Everybody loved it. Then back in the old days, my mother's side of the family happened to be Seventh-day Adventist, and a lot of them ate vegetarian meats out of cans. Anybody remember the old vegetarian meats in the cans back in those days? And you had like the Loma Linda products and all of that type of stuff. So I grew up, my mother's family was Seventh-day Adventist, and many of them had all these vegetarian products in cans. And like, they had them Ready Burger and Wham. They didn't call it ham, they called it Wham, all these interesting names. And growing up, when you're eating, real meat, and you go to your cousin's house and they eat vegetarian food, and they got this fake chicken and fake Wham and stuff like that, you're kind of laughing at them and so forth. And so I was that kid, and lo and behold, I end up becoming a vegan myself. But what's interesting about my story is that I was adopted at birth. And what was cool about it, I was adopted at birth. My family happened to be a black family. And again, my daddy was a sharecropper, but they had the ironic name of the last name being what? Chew, right? So I would like to say I was born with a mission, born with a purpose, born to change lives one chew at a time. Come on now, can you get excited? And so I really believe, again, for me, this was a calling in my life. I believe that, again, I didn't look at veganism as a model of just, it was all about saving life, okay? Y'all with me, right? And many of us, became vegans for different reasons. Some of us became vegan because of the, animals, the environment. For me, it was because of my family was dying. And I realized, as much as I love to eat fried chicken, if I keep eating fried chicken, more than likely, when I get to this age, more than likely, I'll probably have the same issues that my family members had. And so, and it's even as a vegan, as I'm getting older, my body's changing, it's not even still easy at this age. So I'm like, if I was eating meat, your metabolism slows down, you start to gain weight. Even as a vegan, if I don't exercise, you still gain weight. And so it's not a miracle cure. And so I realized, again, at that age, that was a radical decision at that time. Again, most of the food, in my opinion, unless you made it from scratch, tasted like dog food. I didn't like it at all. And so I began a personal journey to learn how to make plant-based foods. Again, in those days, again, we made everything from scratch. I mean, everything. You wanted a vegan? Your salad dressings, your burgers. We made lentil loaves. We took soybeans and took the whole soybeans and made soybean burgers. We made everything from scratch. Anybody cook like that today? Everything from scratch? Anybody? Still got a few OGs in the audience now. Come on now. We gotta learn from that. I went into the kitchen, not exaggerating. I got cookbooks, vegan cookbooks, and I went through every recipe that I could go through to learn the principles on how to make plant-based and vegan foods. And what I realized as I was doing this, it was more of a hobby, turned into a passion, turned into an obsession. And as I had this obsession, I wanted to just learn how to make these products, and I began to look at things a little bit differently. And I began to see like this formulas and ratios and just all these different techniques. And I wanted to learn how to do those things. And so I became very creative, very experimental, and my career began. So in 2004, I had my first product. It was called Crunchy Bunchy Granola. I said, we don't box, but we got a granola that's gonna knock you out. So that was my first product. 2004, I began to make granolas. We had a bread business. We made artisan bread. We had honey oats and wheat bread, raisin bread, and we had, again, a little small bread business, and we called it the wedge bread, and it was made from whole wheat. It was a healthy product. And back then, I started to understand that you can become a vegan and try to get people to become vegan, but if you don't educate them, it doesn't go a long way. Anybody know what I'm saying, right? So facts to statistics don't change behavior. Anybody believe that? Facts to statistics don't change behavior. And I became a type of vegan. I became a kind of a mean vegan. Anybody know about mean vegans? Huh? Anybody know what a mean vegan is? You're always mad at everybody, right? Mad at what somebody else is eating, mad at what's going on, I had the audacity, right? I'm living at my mama's house. I'm like 22, 21 years old, at my mama's house, right? I come in my mama's house. I take out all the foods that I felt that my mama shouldn't have been eating. So I take out all the meat per se and the bad ingredients that I thought she shouldn't have been eating. I take all the food and put it at the bottom of the refrigerator. Now, mind you, was I paying for the groceries? What do you think? No. So mama came home, mama looked at me and said, boy, my mama didn't cuss. She was past those years. Thank God she wasn't cussing no more. But mama looked at me and said, boy, if you don't put my food back inside the refrigerator. And I realized that you can't force people to change. Y'all not excited about that, right? You can do it with your kids, right? Because they ain't got no choice, right? You got to feed them. And that's to some degree, unless they're little kids. A lot of times, sometimes we go vegan and the kids are like 12 and 13 and 14. It can be hard, But the point I'm making is I realize the way to change is education. The more we can educate, the more we can see change in communities. The more people can see the need of wanting to actually adopt this lifestyle. And that became my journey. And also, it has to taste good. Come on. It got to taste good. That's it. So for me, there we go. Wrong plot. All right. There we go. All right. So for me, I began my personal journey again. I got into the kitchen. I was in my mama's kitchen experimenting literally nightly. I had to work my job during the day. At night, I was literally spending 2 or 3 hours every evening. I went through every possible grain, bean, you can name it. I went through it to figure out how to make a plant-based protein taste amazing. So my first product I made, literally in 2006, 2007, was made out of potatoes, oats, tofu, and guess what else? I had to bind it. Huh? It was gluten, okay? I didn't want 100% gluten because I didn't want it to be too chewy, no pun intended. So I kind of combined it with garbanzos and brown rice, and I used the tofu and I would dry it out and get that texture that I wanted and make these chicken nuggets. I had these chicken wings, and I wanted to replicate the honey barbecue chicken wings that I used to make at KFC. I was like, I'm gonna make a vegan version of the honey barbecue chicken wings that I used to have. I call it the Believe It's Not chicken. Looks like chicken, tastes like chicken, but guess what? It ain't chicken. Crispy on the outside and white in the middle. Oh, it's delicious. Come on now. So I realized, it was a unique product. I was making it from scratch, and it was fun. And I recognized that in order to make vegan food exciting, you gotta be excited about it. You gotta keep people hype about it. So I kept studying. Eventually in 2007, I came across some texturization techniques that I started using directly from the soybean. And I learned how to texturize a protein that comes directly from non-GMO soybeans and create a very meat-like texture. And so I developed that product in 2008. As a result of that, I started my first vegan restaurant in 2008. Can you imagine a vegan restaurant in 2008? And I started it in my hometown. Now, guess where my hometown was located? Southern Maryland. Now, you might not know about Southern Maryland, but they country folk, okay? Now, country folk, they don't eat vegan. They eat ribs and chicken. My neighbors, they shoot squirrels. They crazy, okay? That's my family. I started a vegan restaurant in 2008 in Southern Maryland. They looked at me like I was crazy. You know how long that restaurant lasted? 8 months. It didn't work. Now, mind you, you would think I would have had enough common sense to start it maybe in a metropolitan city. I ended up getting married, and I moved to Arkansas. That's worse. It's even deeper south. So what do you think I did when I got to Arkansas? I started another vegan restaurant in Arkansas. Now this is a little bit more progressive. It was Fayetteville. Anybody know about Fayetteville, Arkansas? University of Arkansas there. But they're the football team that talks about pig suey, right? The Hoosiers. So obviously they wasn't that vegan friendly, right? But guess what? I lasted for a little bit longer than 8 months. Come on now, y'all better get excited. Come on now. How long do you think I lasted in this city? Not 9 months. No, I got a little longer than that, more than that. A whole year and some. Come on now. A whole year and some. I lasted for almost 2 years. Come on now, can I get a round of applause? Give me some excitement now. So I went down into the South. I had people, so I've developed a product. This product that I had wasn't called Chef Chu's Kitchen at that time, but I had the product. I'm learning the business of restaurants and producing this product, but I started doing lifestyle programs for people. So I began to actually do meal plans, get people that was not pretty much wasn't vegan, but I started making these programs where I would feed them vegan food for like 60 days. And when they was on the program, people had diabetes, they had heart disease, and they was like, I'm gonna go vegan. And there was a gentleman in the town who was very influential. He was a multimillionaire, and he was like a big supporter of our restaurant. He had I'm not exaggerating, about 15 to 20 of his friends that went on this program. And I lie to you not, we did blood work with these individuals before and after. They lost, some of them lost 10 to 20 pounds. Some of their blood pressures normalized. They started seeing not only quantitative, but qualitative improvements in their health. And I realized that what I was doing, again, it just wasn't feeding vegan food. Again, we're saving life. Come on now, if you leave here today and not getting excited today about eating vegan, you're saving life. These individuals' lives were changed as a result of this. And what's crazy, while I was there, I had an organization here based in California. Again, I'm Seventh Adventist, which is very well known for vegetarian lifestyle. They're known, you ever heard the Blue Zones, the studies in the Blue Zones in Loma Linda? So that's, again, based on the Loma Linda population of Seventh Adventists. So my church invited me to start a vegan restaurant in Oakland, California. So in 2016, anybody ever go to our restaurant in Oakland? There you go, a customer there. It was called the Veg Hub. The Veg Hub, we had a vegan restaurant there for almost 6 years. Again, I went from 8 months, come on now, to 2 years. Come on, let's go. To 6 years, come on now. Get me getting excited. Now, what's exciting about that, because that project was a very personal project for me, because we went to the city of Oakland and we wanted to educate. In the restaurant, we did cooking classes. We work with school districts, work with the youth in the community. So in our restaurant, you would come and get food, and then on a Thursday evening, we would have a cooking class right inside the restaurant. You come to cooking class? You remember that? Okay, you didn't go to that, okay. But we'd have cooking classes in the restaurant, and we really wanted to make it personable for the community. And it became more like family. And I realized, again, when you think about eating food, it's one of the most personal, intimate things that we do, right? Food, my Uncle Kevin's in the back there, and we had dinner yesterday together. I made him a plant-based steak. It was phenomenal. He was like, man, it was one of the best pieces of plant-based steak I ever had, and made pico de gallo, a taco that was amazing. But my point is, at that experience, we talked about life. We talked about family. We talked about our children. And so when you think about food and being vegan, it's an experience of love. It's an exchange that we're doing with people. And again, when you talk about vegan, a lot of times people that aren't vegan, it's different. They look at you like, this is kind of interesting. They might think about it being weird. It's gotten a lot more popular, obviously. Instagram loves it, right? So it's a lot more cooler than it used to be. But it's still different from a lifestyle standpoint. And I would just say to us, if I can leave you with anything, just know that your lifestyle is a blessing to people, because you're showing that eating healthy can be fun, unless you're a mean vegan now. Don't be a mean vegan. But you can be happy, you can be excited, you can be, exploratory. People love to see the differences of the foods and the textures and stuff like that. And I realized that there's a connection when we share a meal with someone at a table together. So what we did, our company was called Better Chew. And we recently changed our name to Chef Chew's Kitchen. Chef Chew's Kitchen. So you can actually find our products. We're at Whole Foods Market. We've been there for almost 4 years, almost 5 years now. Really excited about that. We also, we changed our name because we wanted people to realize with our product, because, in the plant-based meat space, in the protein space, it became more of this, I think we lost our focus. I wanted to really make it, where it's really about family and community and really bringing health to our community. So from my kitchen to your table, you know what I mean? I wanted real food made by real chefs. That became the vision that we wanted to bring to the market. And so that's what we did. We actually just recently started selling our products to school districts. So we sell to a number of school districts throughout California. We actually had one school district in the Monterey Bay Peninsula. They fed 4,000 kids a full plant-based meal for the Black History Month, which was amazing. Gave them a plant-based vegan chicken, vegan mac and cheese, and this got them exposed, little kids, high school kids exposed to healthier lifestyle. And so right now we go into school districts, we do cooking classes. So like for the School of Napa, we did a big cooking class, a vegan cooking class for the kids. You can only imagine when they had their first vegan quesadilla, they was just like, no way. It was like the expressions were like priceless. If you want to go see some of the videos, you can go to my Instagram page at Chef Chu's Kitchen. You can see some of the videos that we did with the kids. But again, I'm all about, bringing change, but doing it through education and realizing that everybody's not going to change when I want them to. So this is a long game, and it's a labor of love. I can just pause there. Because love can mean a lot of different things to a lot of different people. But what I've read before, love is patient. Come on now. Love is kind, right? It's not rude, right? We don't force our ideas upon people, but we give them something better, right? We give them something better. And so my simple message today, as you all are in your journey, give them something better. Give them something better. Am I done? My time is up? Okay. I'm going to end with a little story. I don't know what the story is, but I'm going to make it up as I go. You know what I mean? Sometimes you just got to ad-lib a little bit, right? But one of the greatest things I've experienced in my career, we first went into Whole Foods in, I think, 2019. And, that was a big deal for me. I'm African American. There's not a lot of people in our industry that's manufacturing food products on shelves, and it was a big deal. And I have a food factory in Vallejo, California. Been there for 6 years, almost 7 years now. We produce the products, and we got our product on the shelf. And I tell you, it was one of the greatest experiences that I never thought was possible. I go into Whole Foods. Now, Whole Foods does a local program. The local program at Whole Foods? They got like the local producer, that kind of thing. So they had my face on the actual freezer. You feel me? I'm like, I can't believe it. That is me on the shelf. I'm like, wow! Can you imagine? A black boy from the South on a product in Northern California. Who would have ever thought that was gonna happen? Man, God is good. So I'm in the store. It was a young African-American young man. He was a janitor there. He was cleaning up in the store. As he's cleaning up, I'm so excited. I was like, bruh, that's me. He was like, nah, man, that ain't you, brother, that ain't you. I said, man, I'm telling you, brother, that is me. I'm on the shelf, man, that's my product. He ain't believe me. So I had to call my business partner, put him on FaceTime. I said, man, tell this dude right here that is me in the freezer. And man, I'm on the phone, my buddy's talking to him like, yeah, that's him. That's him on the freezer, man. That is him. Man, that young man started to cry in the store. Because he doesn't see people like himself making product in the store. Especially at Whole Foods. So when I saw that, I realized that my life, I was born with a purpose. I was born with a mission. Come on now. I was born to change lives, one chew at a time. Hey, look, my name is Chef Chu, and as I always say, gonna give you something to chew on. Woo! Cool, man. Now, I don't know if I got time for questions or I'm out.
Yeah, you got some time for questions. Okay. So he has got a couple minutes for questions, whatever you want to talk about. We have another speaker coming up in 15 minutes, and that will be Sid Garza-Hillman, but you can ask Chef Chu whatever you want.
Cool. Well, cool. I know I got you guys riled up, but if you got any questions about anything, I'm open book. You got a question? So right now, I didn't say this, so right now we ended up, as of recent, we partnered with the Vegan Mob. So we help them to manufacture all their products for their restaurants. So we're supporting them in their restaurant as they grow their model. So right now, I'm not really focused on restaurants as much as, doing things of that nature in the manufacturing side in the schools. But we just started a new program. You can write this down. If you want to get some foods delivered to your doorstep, okay? We have a new project called Sabbath Meals. Sabbath, S-A-B-B-A-T-H, Sabbath Meals. We make your Sabbath a delight. Now, anybody know what the word Sabbath means? That word Sabbath, anybody want to help me out? What does it mean? You know what it means? Anybody know what Sabbath means? It's a rest. There you go. So Sabbath means rest. And what I want to do right now is I feel like we're too busy. We don't spend time together and eat a good meal. So we just created a program again called Sabbath Meals. You can go there. We're going to be launching probably next week, but the website is just kind of starting. And again, we're going to be delivering prepared like family meals, cooked to perfection. You can sit down, put your phones away. No phones at the table when you eat Sabbath meals. And you got to sit down and have a dinner together with your friends or your family. That's the goal of it. So we're starting that as a program starting literally the next week or so. And so that's something that we're doing. So check us out, sabbathmeals.com, and go get a good meal from us. We're going to be doing Thanksgiving meal as well. So if you don't want to cook Thanksgiving, we're going to be making Thanksgiving meals as well. Any other questions? Anybody else? Any other questions? Yes. No, I'm in Vallejo. Yes, Vallejo, yes. Yeah, Vallejo. Okay, yeah. But I'm in Vallejo. You had a question? Man, great question. The question he just asked, you have a business, whether it's vegan or whatever it might be, how do you know how to move on from a failure? I don't like to call them failures. That's one thing I look at as business. Business is education. So I look at it as a closed chapter in the story, So when I was in Maryland, when I had my first restaurant and we closed down, it was just a closed chapter. Because many times in life, if you look at a failure as being the end of the story, we stop. The dream stops. And I realized I learned a lot and it wasn't over. And I got back up, you feel me? And I went to Arkansas, man, and I started again. And what happens is, what I learned in life, you never know what you don't know until you try it. And the worst thing in life is not to try. So anybody that might be in the audience today, you got a dream, the worst thing you can do is hold on to that dream and not try the dream. Because when you start, guess what? When you start, you get people that start to believe in you, resources start to come. Money it might not always be money. It wasn't always money that I needed. Sometimes it was the influence. It might have been this person that had a connection that I needed. The relationships. And those relationships, if they're genuine, and if you're genuine about what you're doing and you're passionate, they last a lifetime, man. So for me, I failed, if you want to call it failure, but I've had some difficult days. But I realized it was a calling. It wasn't just something that I was doing just because I wanted to make money. If it was something for money, I probably would have quit a long time ago. There's a lot more lucrative things to do than start a food manufacturing company in California, of all places. You know how much my PG&E bill is? My Recology bill? It's like $2,000 a month for trash. $4,000 a month for electricity. More than the rent. So you don't do it because, it's a labor of love. And when something's a calling, you keep going no matter what. No matter the obstacle, the difficulty, the challenge, you just keep fighting because it's about saving life. I don't want to see another family member die prematurely when there's a better way. So that's what keeps me motivated, man. I'm getting passionate now. Y'all got me fired up. Y'all got me excited today. Anybody else have any questions? Yes. Yes. So, good question. You're the oyster lady, right? I'm experimenting with mushrooms, and there's some challenges that I found with the mushrooms on the freezing and some of those issues. So I'm still experimenting. I'm not an expert at it, but I know it's not as easy as it looks. It's not about just frying a mushroom and freezing it and so forth. There's a lot of details behind the mushroom. So I'm not really, again, I've tried some tests on it. And like the test that I made on the mushroom, you might have figured it out. But the texture when you first make it fresh is very different than after you freeze it and then try to refry it. And so it's not an easy product compared to other plant-based proteins, to be able to reheat. And so the question is, what's going to be the customer experience? So that's been my experience with the mushroom. Not to say it can't work. I'm just saying it's just not an easy product to be able to get that same experience as a fresh, oyster mushroom made fresh, if that makes sense. Yeah, so that's been my experience. Yeah. Anybody else? Well, I will sing you guys a song that I wrote years ago, and I'll end here. This is a song it's called, what is it? Eat to Live, Eat to Live. You guys ready? All right, I'm gonna sing it once, and you guys can join me on the second time, all right? It says, fruits and grains and vegetables, nuts and seeds is all I need. It tastes so good to me. Let's not eat to live, but let's live to eat. That's not right. Let's not live to eat, but guess what? Let's eat to what? To live. Y'all want to try it? Fruits and grains and vegetables, nuts and seeds is all I need. It tastes so good to me. Let's not live to eat, but let's eat to live. Hey, my name is Chef Chew, as I always say, gonna give you something to chew on. All right, thanks, man. Appreciate you, buddy.
All right, thanks for the inspirational, wonderful talk, Chef Chew. We start in 15 minutes with Sid Garza. Thank you.